Debut gave up just 2 runs, struck out 10 over 7 innings, got the win, and got his first ever curtain call. Said afterwards, those are the moments you live for. Pretty wonderful stuff. Kevin Wildes, what else you got for us?
Oh, we'll start with the weird Red Sox at Tigers. Miguel Cabrera's 38 years old, holding Christian Vasquez on first base, just kind of pulling a James Harden there. You know, you go to the hoop, get your arm up underneath him. That's a foul. That's going to be a foul on Vasquez. Fun fact, Miguel is sitting at 498 home runs, so pay attention. About to hit a milestone here. Tigers lose 4-1. On to the wonderful Mets at Marlins. Javi Baez, new Met with the Ledecky, the swim move. Put your left hand in, over the top on the right. Great job. Mets end up winning 5-3. And finally, the weird Mariners at Rays.
Oh, wow.
Fly ball to right field. Brett Phillips goes screaming out, I'm going to make a play. Look at the fans. Oh, my God, is the ball going to hit me? Is the outfielder going to crash into me? Nope, everything is okay. Then the odd, you might say that was a great play. Why did you call it a weird play? I don't know. I just don't think, like, the old pat on the head.
He touches her hair.
Here, let me pat your head. Okay. And
don't touch a stranger's hair,
odd
buddy.
move. Yeah, you can't do that. Odd move.
Not
a weird and wonderful
Trying to be good. No,
national pastime.
Yeah, don't touch her head. Don't touch a stranger's head. Come on, man.
Talk some 49ers now. Back to football. Jimmy G, Trey Lance, front and center, and for good reason. Look, Niners moved all the way up to 3 to get Lance, despite Jimmy G playing in a Super Bowl just 2 years ago. According to GM John Lynch, Lance's presence at camp has brought out the best in Garoppolo. Take a listen.
The other good thing is that, you know, him being here, I think has brought the best out of Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy's a big time competitor. And, you know, we haven't played a game yet, but in practice in the off season and in practice in training camp thus far, he's playing his best football since he's been here. And he's played a lot of good football. You just look at his record. And so people say, well, what do you do if they're both playing great? That's another great problem to have. And we'll deal with that when it comes.
Jimmy's best football since he's been there?
He really is playing at a high level. And, you know, I don't want to talk about it too much as I'm doing so in front of millions of people, but it's something everyone's recognizing. He's really playing at a high level. And that's the type of competitor. That's what competitors do when they're challenged. They rise to the occasion. And I think he's doing a great job of that.
Yeah, a little hyperbole, but not to be outdone. Niners offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel, big fan of the work Trey Lance is doing, said, quote, he's getting to the point where he can correct other players. All right, Brandon, who gives the Niners the best chance for a deep playoff run this season, Jimmy G or Trey Lance?
All right, so Trey Lance, loved the kid. He was down here at the start of combine season to get ready for the NFL draft, and I fell in love with the kid. The kid has it all. He's big. He looks like a dang on tight end. He has all the talent in the world when you think about his arm. And up here, in between the ears, people love him, and they say, you know what, soon as he steps foot in the building, he gets it right away. Trey Lance, they moved up, like you said, to the 3 to get him. But then you have Jimmy G. Jimmy G, on the other hand, this is a dude, small sample size in New England. It was only like, what, 3 games, Nick? 3, 4 games where he went out there and he lit it up and he kept the thing together until Tom Brady came back. I think that was the year Tom Brady was suspended. He ended up getting hurt.
One of his many cheating
But everybody said, oh, my goodness. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and then you saw everybody was like, oh, Jimmy G is next level. And then he gets traded.
Whoa.
And what happens when he gets traded? He sat for a little bit, and then he went out there and lit it up. I think it was 6 games in a row. What, they go 6-0? And everyone's like, oh, this is our guy. Get to that offseason, they extend him. He gets big money. And then it was just up and down for a couple of years. Jimmy G is the right answer, and here's why. Because after all of that being said about Trey Lance, even what I said about Jimmy G, you know, the small sample size, lighting it up here, and then struggling the last couple years, Jimmy G, there's 2 things that's been holding him back. One is injuries. If he can stay healthy, oh boy. And 2, can't be a slow blinker. And we talked about this while.
Okay, enough.
You know, there's a few things There's a few things I just don't like. I don't like, you got to protect the ball. Ball security is job security, yours and mine.
Yours and mine.
You can't be a slow blinker. And nobody's talking about this with Jimmy G. Look at all these highlights, and what are you seeing? The ball getting out his hands quickly. And that's a quarterback who knows where he's going with the ball. You got to be able to get back there, and when that back foot hit, you got to be able to know where you're going with that ball. That's not a slow blinker. If he can correct that, I can assure you this team is going to be in great position come December, come January. This dude is the answer. They got some young wide receivers that can get it done. Defensively, what I'm hearing is that they're looking good. So, yes, Trey Lance is looking good right now. I talked to a friend in that organization. They said, look, Jimmy G is balling, but Trey Lance is balling too. And they believe that their best option right now is Jimmy G. So I'm telling you right now, if he stays healthy and he continues to process the way he is and getting the ball out quick and not be a slow blinker, they're going to be right where they need to be come December.
Okay, so I feel like what's happening in San Francisco, Nick, is exactly what happened in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes. And Jimmy G is Alex Smith. You've got a guy that people are, at this point, he's viewed as underrated. And even though Jimmy G is 22-8 with the 49ers, he's still underrated. And Alex Smith played that whole year, and you started to hear bubbling up, oh, this Patrick Mahomes guy is pretty good. You should see this Patrick Mahomes guy in practice. Holy cow, this Patrick Mahomes is going to be really excellent. But Alex Smith sort of like held the reins the entire time. Patrick Mahomes got in at the end. That's exactly how the 49ers should go. My only issue with the conversation around this is, or even our question, who gives the 49ers the best chance for a deep playoff run? Jimmy G literally went to the Super Bowl. He went to the Super Bowl, and he was 6 minutes away from being a Super Bowl champion. So it bothers me when people rewrite history that Jimmy G can't bring a team to the Super Bowl when he was literally in the Super Bowl. And Jimmy G is too nice of a guy to be like, guys, I was literally in the Super Bowl. Not like, can I do it? Can Lamar Jackson do it? Like, I was literally in the Super Bowl. And I know people are like, well, what about the pass? Well, he missed a pass. Jameis Winston threw 30 balls to the other team. People are like, gotta give Jameis Winston a shot. Carson Wentz had to be traded. Like, oh, I'm high on Carson Wentz. Jimmy G misses one pass, wins game, and hands the ball off because that's the game plan that he's told to do.
Why do I feel like Wiles is attacking me right now? He talked about Carson.
I like Jimmy G.
He's not attacking you.
People.
Are you
guys stick up for each other?
He's not attacking Brandon. He's not attacking anyone individually. He's just giving a terrible take. There's no attacks. It's just a bad take. Wild. I'm also sick of history being rewritten, most notably by you, about how Jimmy Garoppolo got to that Super Bowl. Their first playoff game, he threw for 130 yards. The defense, which was magnificent, held the opponent to 10 points. That's why they won. Their second playoff game, he threw 8 passes. Emmanuel Sanders when they were trailing. It was the multiple batted down passes that he couldn't complete when they were winning, when they only needed 3 first downs to win the Super Bowl. That's what happened. You want to talk about, he went to a Super Bowl. So did Jared Goff. You want him as your quarterback? Because the Rams didn't. They sent him to Detroit. Maybe you'd want Jared Goff as your quarterback. I don't know, but I wouldn't. And this idea of like, it's what the Chiefs did. Guess what? It was a massive mistake by the Chiefs to let Alex Smith finish off that season. They started the year off well. They then went into a slump, but they've been to the playoffs a bunch of years in a row with Alex. They're like, no, don't go to the rookie. And what happened in that playoff game? They blew a 17-point lead at home to Marcus Mariota, who can't start in this league anymore. You know why? Because Alex Smith had a very clear ceiling. Jimmy Garoppolo has a very clear ceiling. The answer to this question is Trey Lance. And what I think is pretty clearly happening, Brandon, is the Niners are trying to goose Jimmy G's trade value. They see what's going on around the league. They see what's happening in Indy, and I don't think Indy's going to trade for him because they've already invested too much in Carson Wentz. They know there will be the inevitable quarterback injury. They know there will be the team that gets a little anxious, like, oh boy, like we got off to a slower start than we thought we would. A team maybe